Hi, I'm Coach MK, founder of the Fitness Protection Program. I'm a run coach, not a life coach, but we're never really talking about the running. Running is the tool. It's the conduit we use to examine the world we live in, as well as its impact on our own lives and the lives of the people around us. How we react to certain people and to certain stories tells us a lot about how we view ourselves. I'm committed to the thoughtful, intentional exploration of the importance of running so that no one discounts their own badassery, ever. Final note, this podcast is geared towards every runner who won't lose their home, livelihood, or health insurance if they show up to the corral with a hangover. Not that I'm encouraging you to do that, just saying. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the Fitness Protection Podcast. Hi, this is Coach MK, Denver, Colorado, and it's our weekly Ask the Coach live stream where I take all the questions from all the folks in the fitness protection training programs. We have 2 suites of programs open at the moment. Maintain, designed for runners who have a modicum of fitness that they would like to maintain, and Rebuild, which is designed to facilitate a return to the running habit or the running lifestyle for anyone who's been out for 6 months or longer. We really don't care why life got in the way. We trust you. We think you're amazing. We just want to make your return to this hobby as smooth and as simple as humanly possible. With that, I appreciate all the support and all the kindness I've received since my last live stream on my personal page on Friday. It's been a rough month for a whole lot of reasons, most of which I have not been talking about publicly, and I hated to have to share that at all. But come for me, I can take it. Don't you dare do anything to my children. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm hoping that September will be more quiet than August. August was a lot. So Uranus is still in retrograde and will be until January the 11th. And if there's no other explanation for why so many little things and so many big things seem to be happening all at the same time. When Mercury's not in retrograde, I go a little deeper into astrology because you know what? Sometimes there's no explanation, but any explanation will do. Next week's Toe Coach Sarah should be joining us. If you are part of the Strength Beta and you have questions, I bet you do, because we're gonna hit the ground running quite literally tomorrow. Yay, you! Unfortunately for everyone in the regular programs, Dr. Alex Lanton, the superstar physical therapist who created all of the strength circuits. I'm assuming he's in a real bad mood with the newborn baby. I'm guessing she is not sleeping through the night yet because he seems to have a personal vendetta out for all of my runners. And I like demonstrating these circuits had me hurting. Wow. So congratulations. If you are in September this month, you are officially doing harder work than the people in the Strength Beta. But that's, we're just going to go with it. All of the exercises are not technically complicated. They just catch up with you real quickly. So if ever there was a month where you thought $30 was a lot and you weren't getting your money's worth, try out the Strength in September and you will know where the value has been realized. Congratulations on that. Thank you, Alex Lanton. I really hope things take a turn for the better, or maybe everything's just really great and you're mad at me. I don't know what it is, but those strength circuits are beastly. Oh my God. With that in mind, I'm going to switch screens. I'm not, because I don't have Coach Sarah with me and I can only do one thing at a time. No one multitasks quite like she does. I'm not going to be able to keep up with the chat live while I'm reading all of the questions that were submitted ahead of time on a separate document, because I will not be looking in the window. But if you do have a follow-up question, if I'm answering your question live and you have a follow-up question and you're here, go ahead and throw it in the chat. I will circle back to it before the end of the broadcast. By the way, this broadcast is, as usual, being cut as well into a podcast. So if you have not yet subscribed to the Fitness Protection Podcast or subscribe to any of our newsletters, I strongly recommend you do so. The most recent podcast is about the EAT, and it comes with several free downloadable documents. You don't want to miss them. We have a Wayfinder now, an information specialist. She's amazing, and she's doing all of this free of charge because she's been working in my programs for several years now. And she wants to make sure that my messy brain translates into clear coaching cues and instructions that normal non-ADHD humans can execute. And we are super grateful to you, Kara. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're amazing. And so these EAT explanation documents, they are amazing as well. One of them is in the show. There's a link to it in the show notes. If you head over to the blog at coachandlove.com, you'll see the post from the most recent fitness protection podcast. And in there, obviously it's the one about the EAT. From there, click into the blog post and you will see at the bottom bonus material. Let me tell you what to do. You're going to have to sign up for Coach Sarah's mailing list to get a couple of the documents. And if you are already on the mailing list, again, you won't get it twice. The software doesn't work that way, but that is the gateway to getting the documents. So you're not signing up with it. You don't need to sign up with the second email. If you're already on the list, that's totally fine. If you go ahead and sign up for the mailing list, you can get some free stuff. Yeah, go enjoy it. With that in mind, it is Labor Day. I'm sure everybody wants to go do stuff. And as the wife of a military veteran, I would like to thank everyone who put out an American flag. And there are lots of them all over the place in Denver. And from the bottom of our hearts, we would like to say thank you so much. We hope you did the flag raising on Memorial Day as well. But one of the coolest things you could possibly do would be to vote for a candidate that cares about veterans and prioritizes activities for veterans. Another really cool thing to do would be to donate to the USO. Third super cool thing to do, get involved with your company on that level. Reach out to your HR department. Ask if they have any sort of recruiting initiatives for veterans and you would like to volunteer. You would like to help. You would like to recruit. You would like to prepare. There are all kinds of programs on college campuses. We work with CSSU down in Colorado Springs to help veterans with that transition from a military lifestyle into civilian life. There's a lot that doesn't translate very cleanly or easily. There's a lot that's very different. So that is a really good use of your time. Flying the flag is really nice, but helping a veteran directly with that transition, that is a mitzvah. So let's do that. Anything that is showy and performative, again, it matters, but it matters more to be hands-on, direct. I say this as lovingly as I possibly can. I would not be here doing what I do if I had not met and married my husband, and he would not be where he is doing what he is doing if he had not been assisted with the USO, which is a nonprofit organization, on his way out of the military. They helped him get his act together. They gave him stuff to do. They suggested that he apply to business school, which is where we met. And I see your question. I'm actually a run coach, but we're going to get to the running questions in just a moment. So with that in mind, we're never really talking about the running, but with veterans, we are still talking about the veterans and what Labor Day is for. Who really cares? There's never a bad reason to fly the flag and hang out with your family, and there is never a bad reason to volunteer with veterans. There you go. With that in mind, I'm now going to turn over to Ask the Coach. Ask away with Coach MK. Well, Coach Sarah, we miss you. We hope you're having a very safe drive through the mountains of West Virginia. So I'm going to start with rebuild. Hello, I have been in rebuild since the program started. I consistently do 3 or 4 runs per week, and I'm totally happy with that. With the current flow of life, it's not often possible for me to do the long runs on the weekends. That's fine. So the question, should I do a long run during the week or just keep doing the weekly runs and not worry about the long run? I am super happy in rebuild. Yay! I have no aspirations to do any more races or train for anything. Cool. I'm just interested in continuing to build my endurance wearing a heart rate strap. Thank you. All right. So really the long run, I think that's totally fine. The long run matters if you think you're going to transition back into racing. And by racing, I mean specifically anything longer than a 10K. You can race up to a 10K and do just fine without a long run, without an egregiously long run. Now, you want to YOLO a 10 mile or you want to YOLO a half marathon, meaning just show up, get fit and run it. That is a different story. You're going to need a long run for that. The long run serves a lot of physiological purposes, but if all we're trying to do is develop a healthy habit, stay this healthy habit, and we don't really care about performance or finish times or any of the ilk, then yeah, you're fine without a long run. The long run exists for a reason, but it does not sound like any of those reasons are going to apply to you based on what you have just told me here. I'm thrilled to hear that you're happy. I'm really glad that Rebuild has been helpful for you. We're really proud of it. I like the program a lot. And yeah, thank you so much for your kind words there. I appreciate hearing it. I'm thrilled to know that we have anyone in these programs. And I wish, because I feel like running is just, it's such an amazing, cool thing to do. Jogging is so good for you. It can be so super beneficial. I love knowing that we have lots of people that do this with no race on the calendar. I feel like, and I blame the biggest loser for it completely, because when I left the United States, there was no concept of training for a marathon in order to lose weight. I ran lots of marathons. There were not many marathons in the United States in 1999. And I'm telling you, this did not happen. I not once did I run into someone who was training marathon in order to lose weight. Biggest Loser made it a thing. So now people train for marathons and are constantly shocked, horrified, and hurt and confused that they don't lose weight. Well, you can't outrun your adrenal gland. Your body can only do one big metabolic thing at a time. Trying to train and lose weight simultaneously, it's really hard to do. And it's not, there's no twofer when it comes to your body. So I'm always thrilled when I have people in the door that are using the programs the way I wanted them to be used, that are being kind to their bodies, that are being gentle with themselves and understanding of their schedules. Because you know what? The mindset you have right now, this is what leads to greatness later. Coming in with really big goals and lots of pressure for performance and putting lots of pressure on yourself, that's a recipe for burnout. It is no wonder that the bigger the goal, the less likely a person is to stay the distance. So congratulations, yay for good decisions, and thank you for being here. Number 2, I know you have addressed this before in some fashion, but bear with me. It's all good, guys. You can ask me the same questions every single week and I won't care. I love answering these questions. I love doing Ask the Coach. I love, playing coach and pretending like I'm on the track, yelling really loud at people. I love this stuff. I really, truly do. There are no stupid questions. There's only poor program design that withholds key information from participants. So if ever there's a problem, now I feel like we've got a very tight, well-designed program. If there's a problem, it's on my end, not on yours. Do not ever be ashamed or embarrassed to ask me questions, even if you've asked me the same question before. With that said, I have always had an unexpectedly high heart rate paired with very, very, very low blood pressure. I am now on methylphenidate, Concerta. I wondered if taking a medication that tends to increase heart rate changes the way training works. To be clear, I'm 100% not interested in changing the speed limits. I'm more curious academically and from an expectation management perspective. Thank you. Okay, first of all, congratulations on getting on Concerta. I think I'm proud of you for taking the steps necessary to be there. Too many people treat mental health like a separate thing, like a lesser thing, like as though your mind has nothing to do with your life or the rest of your body. And I can't, as someone who takes medication and sees a therapist every other week, I'm always happy to see people making good decisions and taking care of their bodies. So Concerta should not be a problem specifically. Now, mind you, everything I'm saying is only as a coach. It's not as a medical professional. You do need to check with both your doctor and your psychiatrist or whoever is prescribing your drugs. You need to speak with both of them to make sure that what I'm saying is going to hold water. But generally speaking, no, we don't raise the heart rate caps, and no, we don't get to push harder because we have something that's artificially sort of deflating or keeping our heart rate at a lower point of homeostasis. So with that in mind, all you really need to do is not worry too much about it. No, you don't have to train harder, but you just do need to be cognizant that it takes about 6 to 8 weeks for any new drug to really metabolize into your system, especially one that brings along metabolic changes like Concerta can do. So to that end, just don't try to fight the changes. That's the best thing you can do. Let it all happen. Go with it. If that means you're walking some days, cool, walk. Time on your feet is all that matters. And I can't stress that enough. It's true for rebuild. It's true for maintain. It's true for the strength beta. It's true for everyone. Time on your feet, getting the crucial adaptations in your tendons, joints, and ligaments, in your hips, in your knees, in your ankles, in your joints, getting them used to being upright and carrying your body's weight over time through locomotion. That is the most critical thing we can possibly do here. And it's the point most people skip. They don't give themselves or their bodies enough time to adapt. They run into any training plan, pushing their body harder than it's ready to go, thinking that's what fitness is and that's what's required. And effectively, that's kind of like punishing yourself for being where you are. And I really want these programs to feel like a reward. I want them to feel like self-care. And I want you to advocate in your private lives, your personal lives, to go reclaim the time that should be yours for at least an hour every day to go for a jog and then walk. And you know what? Let's say your run that day is 30 minutes. Great. Run 30 minutes and then walk 30 minutes. You can always add a 30-minute walk to anything and blame me for it. Tell your spouse, tell your employer. I don't care who you tell your mom, tell your sister. I will take it all. My coach said I need to go for a 30-minute walk. Go do it. Yeah, you do. It'll clear your head. It'll clear your mind, and it'll keep your heart sometimes from breaking on if you've had things going on lately, like we've had going on in our house. So you want to know how to ask a girl out? How do you introduce yourself with the gym, or just straight up who you are? I will come back to that question towards the end of the broadcast as soon as I've taken care of my paid clients first, but I do have thoughts on that. I have a lot of opinions, and I'm totally happy to share them with you. Moving on to maintain, my question is about the warm-up. It seems like my heart rate wants to go from 80 to 140 in about 2 minutes when I start with the light jog, around 15 minutes per mile pace, even after silly toes. Is it more beneficial for me to warm up my heart rate more slowly with a walk than a speedier walk than a shuffle? It seems like my heart rate comes down really easily as well during the cool down or any walking break that I take. I'm taking that as a good sign. It is a very good sign. Actually, that is a great sign. So heart rate recovery is the heart rate drop and how quickly your heart rate returns to resting after you've done some work. And that is a measure of fitness. It's a very important measure of fitness. How quickly your heart rate rises is another one. Broadly and generally speaking, we want your heart rate to rise fairly slowly in a more controlled manner and then drop really quickly. That's what we're going for. The difference between the two is usually power, how much power your muscles are able to generate with each football, how efficient your body's able to move at any given point in time. So this is why I keep saying, come back to the strength, come back to the strength, come back to the strength. If we need the change is more likely to come through strength than just about anything else you can do. Mentally is the next question. So is it more beneficial for you to warm up your heart rate with a walk and then a speedier walk and then easing into the run? Yes. Unless that makes you feel terrible. If that makes you feel so bad that you aren't looking forward to your workouts, that you don't want to do this, that you don't want to be here, then we need to find out what you can do and then do that. The thing you are going to do over and over again, day in, day out, that is the best thing you can do. And we need to find that thing. To give you some context, I'm pretty sure right now I'm borderline anemic. My iron levels, I'm guessing, are really, really low. And I went for a long run this morning, and at mile 7, I was like, whoa, guys, I got to walk. My chest is, I wanted to rip off my heart rate monitor, and I wanted to rip off my jog bra. Didn't do it, managed to throw that off, but it was just, but everything around here felt so tight and breathing was so labored, and it felt like I wasn't getting a good deep breath into the bottom of my lungs, and that was really annoying. And so I walked, and I probably walked for a mile on my 10.5-mile run today. That does not make me lesser. That does not say anything about like my race in a few weeks. It does not tell you anything about the New York City Marathon. What it tells you is that I probably need some iron, that I definitely need a little more sleep. I didn't get enough last night, and that I've been feeling good. I ran 33 miles last week. And for someone who had surgery 6 weeks ago, that's a big deal. That's a good thing, but I need to be real careful because I don't want to overdo it. So again, with that in mind, if I'm not lesser because I went for a walk in the middle of my run, then you are not lesser for needing to walk at the beginning, middle, and or after your run. It doesn't work that way. Physiologically, which is better? I always say it's better to ease into the run. In the long run, though, if you really hate that, then it's not the best thing to do. So the question really comes from, what can I commit to doing, and then do that? Because if easing into the run is physiologically the better thing to do, but it makes you feel so bad that you just don't want to do it, you would rather run than walk, then you do whatever it is you're going to do to keep coming back. I don't want this to turn into a battle of the wills. This is guided DIY. I'm not here to here high on the mountaintop telling you thou shalt. It doesn't work that way. You got to tell me what you will do and then do that. And I just give you the best guidelines possible and make sure that you can keep coming back day in, day out. Next question. Thanks, coaches, for giving me the gift of running and the lens of seeing myself in my running so fundamentally differently than before. Yay, you're welcome. I'm glad to hear we've had that effect on you. We try really hard. It's taken me 3 years to truly get to this pretty awesome place with my relationship to running, to food, and to my body. So thanks for being my guide. I try to help my running buddies to start thinking about their running and their bodies and eating and self-talk in a different way, because I completely see my old harmful, dysfunctional perspectives alive and well in them. But it is so frustrating because, number one, I'm not great with expressing myself in words. And number two, because they are so stubborn, I don't fault them for it, but it makes me sad. So it's a long way of saying thank you for sticking with it and for being patient with me on this journey of really having you ask to see myself in my life. How in the world did you do it? I now realize how frustrating that truly is. I keep inviting them to fitness protection, if only they would. I appreciate that. I mean, tell the world about fitness protection. Tell them how we changed you. Tell them specifically what you like. Word of mouth is one of the strongest ways. It's one of the strongest marketing tools out there, and it's one of the best ways for us to grow. Forward our newsletters. We've got 3 of them now. We've got My Nuzzle, we've got the Fitness Protection Weekly newsletter, and we've now got Coach Sarah's weekly newsletter. Decide which one you think your friends will like the best and forward that one to them. Share our blog posts with them. Forward the things that we do on Instagram or now Pinterest. Yep, that's right. We're on Pinterest. Send those to your friends too. Go crazy with it. Wherever your friends are, share those ideas, and then you got to back away. And this is the hard thing for me as a coach. I'm only coaching the people who have paid me and who have entered this coaching relationship. And I say that not as some sort of like, well, I ain't talking to you if I ain't getting paid. It's that you aren't going to listen to me if you aren't paying me. And that's a really hard lesson to learn. There are a whole lot of people in this world that are going to tell you that they're experts and then try to sell you something by convincing you that you're doing something incorrectly. And when I approach someone that doesn't realize that the problem in their running is them, I'm just another person trying to sell them something, another person saying, hey, you're doing it wrong. And it's hard to know when a person's going to be receptive to that message. It's sort of like proselytizing. If you've ever gone to church, think about, or if you know a smoker and tried to shame them into not smoking, it doesn't work. If you've seen like a fat person and tried to shame them into eating less, by the way, that's horrible. Don't do that. But it doesn't work. It just, all you're doing is making the smoker and the fat person feel bad. That's not your place. When it comes to your friends, in those moments when you see them actively hurting themselves, the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is what my therapist does for me. And it's what I try to do for all my runners. And that's meet them where they're at. Those voices in your head that tell you that you suck, that's real. And they're not correct, but they're real. That really happened to you at some point. That was a person talking to you, saying these things, making you feel that way. And that's your ego. It's a part of your personality that is trying to protect you by saying, hey, if you do this, these people will tell you that you suck. And that's correct. I want to push back against all of those forces in the world. If anything, I think what I'm doing here at a very fundamental level is starting a revolution. And I would like that revolution to start with you. How that revolution spreads, though, is going to be through you feeling better, not just telling people that you feel better, not telling them that they're doing something wrong, but rather just talking about what's good and what works for you. That will always be a little more effective than trying to give someone a correction that they're not receptive to. And again, I say that kindly and lovingly because I've been that person. I'm still that person sometimes. When people tell me, oh, you need to do this. And I'm like, great. Doing that ever. Just remember, you don't want to bang the drum so hard that you're alienating yourself from their friends, but you've also kind of got to decide for yourself how much you're willing to tolerate. There's a lot of people that I've had to draw very firm boundaries with. We can't discuss this. We can't go there. I've talked about how there are friends I won't eat with because their attitude towards food is so rotten. Their inability to talk about anything that I find to be kind or productive during a meal. If they're able to do it, they are not able to do it in my presence. So the way I keep that friendship going is I just don't eat or talk about food anywhere near them. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that I cannot be the food police. I cannot be their food confessional. I cannot be responsible for that issue with those people because I'm not a nutrition specialist and I'm not a therapist. And I don't like having those conversations. They really hurt. So the boundaries that you have to decide, like what you can and can't do, and what you will and won't do with your friends. As a coach, it's really easy. I don't give advice to anyone or answer questions very thoroughly unless the person I'm talking to is paying me. Because if they're paying me, they're somewhat more receptive to the things that I say. Whereas someone who is not yet in a coaching relationship with me, I'm just somebody else trying to sell them something. And that could easily be you too. So basically, you're welcome. I know it's a process, but this is also why I also know it's hard. That's why when I first started as a coach, I was overly accessible. I wanted to be as accessible as possible because I know that the way I say to do things goes against everything you probably ever heard or been told was correct or been told to do. And I get it. I know that what I say is different and radical and not, it sounds like it runs contrary to everything you've ever read, but I promise you it doesn't. I just present things a little bit differently. And I really push the easy effort run harder than anyone else ever will, because no one hires a coach to get real excited about running easy effort. They hire a coach for the special magic sauce workout that will take them to 4-hour marathon or less in 12 weeks. And I'm sorry, that workout just doesn't exist. So to finish your question, I'm on week six of the Tenacious Plan. And congratulations, by the way. And tomorrow, I signed myself and my 9-year-old daughter up for a really small local 5K fundraiser for the high school cross country team. Shoot, yeah, do it. She's been begging to do a race with me, and we've done this one before, but she's only done the 1 mile. I want to let her kind of be in charge of running, walking as she needs, but foresee it as being a sprint walk fest. Of course it is. Any advice on how to view this within the context of where I am in my training, as well as how to help her for the last 3 miles? You know what? Go do it and let her lead the way. This is something she's wanted to do with you for a while. It's an opportunity that's presented itself. Take it. I think you'd be almost silly not to. Like, there's no way that this race is going to be determined by this one workout on this one day. Why in the world would you miss this opportunity? Go do it. Let her lead the way. Talk to her through it. If she asks you for coaching, like, Mom, what do I do? Give her the advice that you know that I would. At the same time, if she doesn't ask, that just don't struggle with her. Just let her run. And if you do a lot of sprinting, run, walking, cool. Take Tuesday off if you need to. Your race will not be determined by this day, but days like this with your daughter can, and in fact do, determine the future of your relationships. In these moments when she asks to do something, letting her be in control of the outcome can be a very empowering thing for her. Even if she makes a choice that's going to hurt her own feelings, it's not about protecting her from those moments. It's about meeting her and being with her in those moments. She's 9. It's different when we're 19, and it's different still when we're 29 or 39, and the choices we make are not aligning with what we claim our goals actually are. At 9, it's still a little more pure. I just want to run. So go out there and just run with her and don't worry about it at all. Thank you for telling your friends about fitness protection. But seriously, at the end of the day, nothing matters more than your sanity. And if you try to control outcomes for people, which is what I have done in previous roles, you're going to burn out just like I did. And you're going to be really frustrated just like I was. And you're going to push people away from you just like I did. I beg you not to do that with your friends or family members, unless you're just looking for an excuse to cut them off, in which case I can give you that too. So next question. Can you talk a little bit about the recovery window that comes up on the watch after a workout? Do you know if the calculations for this window are similar between Polar and Garmin? Should we be keeping this window in mind if we have to juggle workouts during the week? All right. So an old rule that I've given you guys in the past still very much holds. We do not ever do hard workouts back to back. And by definition, by default, a hard workout is any workout that is harder than easy effort or longer than 60 minutes. We do not like doing those back to back, and it'll be a long time before you ever do. Even my most advanced clients almost never do. You always need a rest day or a shakeout day in between 2 difficult workouts. What the recovery window is, it varies from watch to watch. I have not used a Garmin in a while, but generally speaking, you do a hard workout and it'll tell you have 3 days. It'll be 3 days until you are fully recovered from this workout. That does not mean you cannot work out in the subsequent 3 days following that workout, that you need to sit on the couch. What it does mean is you do not need to do a workout that is equally long or equally hard for at least 3 more days. So if that was a long run on Saturday and it says you're not going to be recovered till Tuesday, you can still run on Monday and on Tuesday. You just can't do a long run the same long run on Monday or Tuesday. And I don't think we're in any danger of that. So when we talk about the injury window, when I've talked about it in the past, what I'm usually referring to is that period after either a hard workout. More often than not, we're talking about a race, that period after a race, when it's a bad idea to try to do anything hard because your tendons, joints, and ligaments are still recovering from the pounding you gave them on race day, which makes sense. So with that in mind, in the recovery window, we want to take that seriously. We want to keep that sacrosanct. We want to make sure that we're not piling stress on top of stress, because that's going to lead to CNS, central nervous system burnout before it's going to lead to improved performance anywhere. So specifically what happens on a Garmin, I'm not sure because I don't have one, but the one that I used to have, I tried one out briefly in 2016 and I didn't love it. I went right back to my Polar. And it was very similar to Polar, but it was a similar calculation, but it was a different presentation. Their calculation had to do, they're also trying to tell me a whole lot about myself that didn't really tell me anything, like your vertical oscillations improving on your right foot. I'm like, okay, but yes, I've been doing strength and I could have told you that. Thank you. Like they're trying to I feel like Garmin has gone really far out of its way to try to sell you data points because people really don't know what they're looking for in a watch and how to compare them. And if two watches are the same price, why aren't you going to go with the one that gives you the most data points? Never mind if those data points are useful. But the recovery window is interesting in that it gives you an idea over time how your body responded to the work that it's been doing. It's similar to a TREMP score in Training Peaks, which is a measure of overall cardiovascular load. Don't worry too much about it. Just know this. If it says it's going to be 3 days before you're fully recovered from the workout, that does not mean it's 3 days before you need to work out again. It means you need to wait 3 days before you do that same workout one more time. That's all. And yeah, if I were you, I would keep that in mind if you have to juggle things during the week. But the rule number one, we never do 2 hard workouts back to back. That's always paramount. Number 2, think about it. If you have to move Tuesday and Wednesday around, for example, that's going to have 2 easy days next to each other. That's not a big deal. I'm more concerned if you're like, I'm just going to do my Wednesday run on Friday and my long run on Saturday is scheduled. I'm like, that's 2 hard workouts back to back. Let's not do that. That's not a great idea. So that's high level. I don't know if that answers your question specifically. I figure there's something else underlying that I didn't touch. And if that's the case, I apologize. But that's the best I can do with what I got. That is what the recovery window is and how I would mind it as comes to Polar or Garmin. A final note on it, these calculations are static. They're performed once a day on your watch. It does not auto update. So to give you an example, yesterday I did a jog at night and my watch told me that I was dangerously close to overstrained. And I went to sleep. I woke up 6 hours later to do my long run with a friend and my watch said I was detraining. So I had gone from overtrained to detraining with only 6 hours of sleep. That's not literally what happened, but the run on my watch throughout the day was like, you need to rest. You're in the red zone. And then I woke up in the black zone where it's like, oh my God, you got to train again. So what your watch is able to tell you, it's kind of useful. Yeah. It was good to know that yesterday I was carrying a lot of training load, but that training load did not all disappear overnight with basically a nap, not even a full night's sleep. So it's interesting information, but it's not sacrosanct. Take it with a grain of salt, make good choices. And we never, ever, ever really want to be a slave to the watch. It's a good reference. It's a good tool, just like heart rate, but it does not predict and tell all. Math never will. The story's in between the data points. Is there a way to arrange the week with a long run on Saturday, a run on Sunday, and no run on Monday? Shoot, yeah. The best way to do that would be to do, so then your Tuesday run, it would be easier to write this down, I think, than to say it out loud, but we're going to go with that. So I would do the Monday run on Tuesday, the Tuesday run on Wednesday, the Wednesday run on Thursday. I would do Friday off. I would do your long run on Saturday. I would do your Friday run on Sunday and no run on Monday. That's how I would do it. Yeah. All right. Once again, short, sweet, to the point. Not that many questions, but it is a holiday weekend. So Thank you for the kind words, Karen. I appreciate it. These were fun. I picked these up with my daughter at an estate sale a couple weekends ago. Oh, that's one of our favorite things to do on Sunday mornings around Denver. And it's turning into a thing, especially now that everyone has bikes and is mobile and we can go running around at dawn, quite literally. Yay. Those were good questions. Those were fun questions. All right, now to answer your question over here on Twitch. How do you ask a girl out? Depends on the girl. And you got to be ready. If she says no, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with her, and it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Rejection is one of the hardest things in life. It does not get easier ever. It doesn't matter if you're going after a girl, going after a job, going after a sports team. It doesn't really matter what it is you're trying to do. Rejection is always there hanging in the balance. So the best thing you can do before you ask a girl out, in my opinion, is to check yourself and say, what is it about this person that I find interesting? Because if you're coming at her with something about her, not creepy and stalkerish, don't talk to her friends, don't spend hours doing Google searches. But if this is someone you know, then you know a little something about them. Then approach them in a way that they might be receptive to. Meaning if she has not given you her phone number, don't get it from a friend and text her. That's going to freak her out. If you are already friends on Facebook, you can send her a private message. That's not weird. Or at least I don't think it's weird. That's how my husband asked me out. We're doing just fine. So with that in mind, there's a lot of chatter these days, and I get how it could totally make a person feel uncomfortable. It's hard to be a dude when all the talk is about, women and privilege. And I'm a capital F feminist. And yeah, it's hard being a woman. We face a lot of cyclical and systemic boundaries in society that prevent us from having freedoms that are awarded to a certain echelon of men. But that does not mean it's de facto easy to be a dude in this day and age. And not all dudes are starting on a level playing field. Privilege applies to you guys as well. There will be guys that are really good looking or really wealthy that it seems like everything kind of comes easier to them than it may to you. But I promise you, they get rejected just as much. They always will. And even just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. What this has to do with asking a girl out is that the difference is going to be how you deal with rejection. And you got to brace yourself for it before you get there. The best way to do it is to have some semblance of why you care about this person at all, or why you would care so much about their rejection at all. Rejection is always going to suck, but it doesn't have to define you, or don't give this person power over your day, and don't try to hurt them if they say no. So the best way to ask her out is just like, if you have a chance to talk to her face to face, hey, I've noticed you. I find you interesting. I'd like to get to know you better. Would you like to have a cup of coffee? I'm a gamer. I really like this game. Do you like this game too? Hey, I don't know if you know this. I found this out this afternoon and I'm super excited about it. The Dark Crystal. That was my favorite movie. I mean, you're probably really young and have no idea what movie that is. The Dark Crystal is an amazing movie that came out in 1983, and it just like blew my mind. And that they now have on a Netflix series. Invite her over if you think she might like that kind of thing. Invite her over to watch, a super cool Netflix series at your house. Try not to pick anything too controversial or perform it. Pick something that you genuinely like, that you think she might like too. And if you have no idea what it is she likes, let her make the suggestion. So that's sort of the back and forth. Not that you're going to be a total doormat, but that you're a human with interests and she's a human with interests. And what you're trying to do is see if you have a good fit. And if you have a good fit, go with it. And if you don't, that doesn't mean that you won't with somebody else. So I don't think it's weird to introduce yourself. I don't think it's weird to be straight up who you are. And I'll end on this. When it comes to rules of the game and the dating game and the life game and there are all these games, and I don't play games at all. When my husband, the man who is now my husband, when he asked me out, I was not excited about it. I'd known him for a while and I wanted nothing to do with him. He was a veteran from the military, had a lot of PTSD. And to say his shit was not together would be an understatement. And when I ended up in a situation where we were spending an evening together, and I really got to talk to him for the first time. And I was like, wow, you are a lot more together than I thought you were. You're a lot more interesting than I thought you were. We have a lot more in common than I thought I did. And this didn't come from him trying to impress me. It just came from sitting down and talking. So the best thing you can be is yourself. And I say that, tell you this. 6 weeks after that, I looked at him and said, you know what? I think I could marry you. I am 29 years old. I really want to get married. I'm tired of going to my friends' weddings and not telling the people I date about them so that they won't feel pressured. I am so tired of not talking about the fact that I want to have children so that a dude won't feel pressured. I want to get married. I want to have children. I think it would be awesome to do that with you. And by the way, a friend of mine is getting married in 2 weeks and I'd like to date. Would you like to go? And that was that. We got engaged 3 months after that. And we've been married now for 8 years and have 4 children under 7, no twins. It all starts with being who you really are, being bold enough to show other people who you really are, and trying to connect with a woman on that level, getting to know who she really is, and seeing and making those puzzle pieces fit. There you go. Good luck. If it works, let me know and come back next week. I'd love to hear about it. All right. That is all. You are coached. You are loved. Let's go win it the week ahead. I hope September is better than August. And I hope wherever you are, it's a little bit cooler than it is here. Don't forget to check out USO and think of different ways to help veterans in your area. So promise, wherever you are, there's a veteran that needs a job and a company like yours that might have a place for them. You could be that bridge. You could be that difference. It's always going to be more potent than flying a flag on Labor Day. Yay. Bye.